I'm lucky enough to have one of its directors who's come in to speak to me, Abba Makama. Abba, thanks so much for making the time, because I understand it's been a pretty busy couple of weeks for you. But first of all, let's tell us a bit about Juju Stories. So it's an anthology film.
Yes.
You direct one of 3 stories that's within it, and the other 2 are directed by 2 directors. Part of a collective.
Yes,
that
the
you work
Surreal
in?
16 collective.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. So first of all, tell me about Juju Stories.
Juju Stories is an anthology film that focuses on African folklore, horror stories, tales, that we've grown up to know as Nigerians. And it also cuts across Africa and the African diaspora. So these are like myths and folk tales that people are familiar with, Scary stuff.
Yeah. And yours is called Yam, and it's about like a kid who turns into a yam.
So there's a popular myth and a folklore that if you find money on the floor and pick it up, you instantly turn into yam. And it sounds bizarre, but it's actually a proper belief. You see it in newspapers, you see it reported as police cases. It's quite bizarre. It's a bizarre phenomenon.
And you wrote that.
Yes, that's my segment. Yeah.
Okay, so Juju Stories is the work of a collective, and it's that collective that worked with the French production company in this co-production.
Yes.
First of all, tell me about the collective, because you even have a manifesto. You really see yourself as the new wave of Nigerian cinema. Why, it's not that old. What's the new wave supposed to represent?
Well, I wouldn't call it new wave. I would say it's more alternative. It's like an alternative to mainstream cinema. And the Surreal 16 was founded in 2016 by 3 filmmakers who happened to be fans of each other. We saw we were making films that were had a certain panache, so to speak, that spoke to each one of us. We were cinephiles. We made films that were traveling to film festivals. And we just came together and formed this collective in 2016 as an alternative to the type of mainstream movies that were coming out from the continent.
So maybe for those who are not familiar with mainstream Nollywood cinema, because Nollywood is the second biggest cinema industry in the world.
Absolutely.
What is mainstream Nollywood cinema?
Mainstream Nollywood cinema is quite similar to Hollywood at this moment right now. There's a star system. It's heavily focused on commercialism. If this genre is working, that's what the industry is going to ride. It's going to be a season of
I think you got tired
films.
of wedding films.
Yeah. And not that there's anything wrong with it, but it's rarely do you have like a singular vision, or an auteur has the opportunity to tell a singular vision, so to speak,
And so the other 2 of your collective,
yes.
Who are they? And does everybody have a different style, or do you all work very well together because you reflect something similar?
We have similar tastes, but we obviously have different styles. There's Michael Amonua, there's CJ Obasi, and everyone, like I primarily do satire, and there's a lot of surrealism in my work. CJ, you could see heavily the influence of Martin Scorsese and horror. He's also into like horror genre. And I mean, that not to say he doesn't have his own style, but you can clearly see his influence. Mike Omonwa is heavily influenced by like Japanese cinema. There's a lot of minimalism. Rarely people speak in these films. And these, these type of films are not very popular in where I come from. So it's...
But you're hoping that they're going to be, because it's going to be available on Amazon very
absolutely.
soon.
No, we've definitely started some sort of a following and sort of a new wave, but it's definitely not mainstream. Yeah.
So is your stuff high concept, or would you describe it in some other way?
I think, it could be. So for like my films, they are quite philosophical, they're layered, but there's also humor because it's satire. Like Nigeria does comedy, but I also do comedy as well. But my type of comedy, I wouldn't describe it as slapstick or like ha 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 comedy. It's a bit more layered.
Well, brilliant. Abba, thank you so much for coming in and giving us a bit of an insight into your singular vision of Nigerian cinema. And congratulations for being streamed, for Juju Stories being due to be streamed on Amazon. Very relatively shortly. That is, though, unfortunately, all we have time for Eye on Africa. That's it. For now, join us again if you can. Take care.